Okay, so now I think I'm ready to lay in a little bit of that color of the trees. Going to scrape up some room here. I've noticed that once you lay in the sky, it's a good idea to clean off the white paint from the palette. If you're going back to work in areas that have more dark values, you know, it's good to have a clean brush, clean palette, get rid of the white paint, because that will sort of get into the mixture and make it difficult to get those really nice clean darks. So take a minute, clean up your palette. Okay, so let's start mixing some of these greens up. Mostly, I think the biggest thing with green is to kind of look at the various greens that are in the landscape and always ask yourself, is the green warm or is it cool? That's a determining factor in what direction we want to mix the green. Is it a warm green or is it cool green? Always sort of let it lean towards one or the other. So I'm seeing this foreground tree here is more of a warm green. So I'm laying in something that leans more in that direction. I'm also squinting down. I want that value to be very close to that block in, so it kind of falls into that shape. Again, I'm just suggesting the tree. It's amazing how much the silhouettes of the trees will do the work for us. So the area where the tree meets the sky is really giving it its idea that it's a tree shape, more than what's going on in the inside of the shape. I think it was in Carlson's book on landscape painting where he says one of the things that happens a lot when we're doing trees is to overstate the lights and then ruin that overall shape of the tree. He said more paintings have come to ruin because of that. And it's such a great statement. Just think it's the silhouettes of the trees that really make it. And what I did here is you can see this is slightly cooler than that, which is warmer. And I'll be doing that throughout the whole group of trees, trying to find the areas that are much cooler and stating them, and then finding the warmer areas of green. And just trying to stay away from those middle of the road type of green. The mark making also should start to suggest the textural quality of the branches of the tree. What type of tree is it? What is the texture like? Consider the way the brush emulates that texture, and try to let your brush lay down marks that will suggest that texture. Okay, right where the tree meets the sky, because it's still wet paint, you want to be very careful about that edge and try not to pick up too much of the white. And if you do, go and clean your brush before you put it into the middle area of the tree, because you want that middle area to stay pure and clean. So I'm just touching it, just touching that area of sky and putting a piece of paint down and then leaving it. Okay, I'm going to mix a bit more of the warm green. Usually the tree will be warmer if it's front lit, or the areas where the sunlight is hitting the side of the tree. There'll be a much warmer color. Remember the idea that it's always warm light and cool shadows. So wherever we're in the shadow areas, we can cool that down slightly. And wherever there's sunlit areas, just warm it up a bit. And it's a great simple way to give us that suggestion of sunlight or shadow. Now, one of the tricks with trees is to remember that the sunlit side of the tree appears very light in value, but when we compare it to the value of the sky or the value of the ground, you'll see it's not as light as it first appears. And if we squint down, we'll notice it's a much darker light. That helps it to stay within the value plane, is to adjust that amount of light we give it so it doesn't start competing with the light plane of the sky or the light plane of the ground. So as you start to add bits of warm light to the trees, just pay very close attention to what the other values are doing. So I'm kind of squinting my eyes down, carefully seeing what that value is like compared to the values in the painting. And that will help us retain that feeling of the upright plane. Just always be very conscious of each value change as you start to look at the sunlit areas. Consider the plane they fall in. I think it was in Carlson's book on landscape painting where he says one of the things that happens a lot when we're doing trees is to overstate the lights and then ruin that overall shape of the tree. And it's such a great statement. Just think it's the silhouettes of the trees that really make it. As I step back, I'm starting to get a suggestion that there's things going on in the tree without overstating, that the shapes will start to suggest ideas, suggest shapes. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, as I step back and took a look at the kind of the silhouettes of the trees, I noticed a couple shapes that are pretty much emulating each other. They're very close, so what I want to do is give them a little more variety. Already see that feels better. We want repetition of similar type of shapes, but never exact in size or length or width. We want to vary that. One of the best pieces of advice I ever heard about painting the edge of these pine trees is to think of it as bits of calligraphy, thick and thin lines. So we're very aware of each piece of the tree limb, but also the negative shape of the sky behind it. And then to look at the variety of the sizes is more important than what's actually happening, say, in reality or from a photo reference, is what we do with that variety creates a lot more interesting tree shape. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more warmth to the trees in the foreground. So I've added a little cad red to the green. Now, once that cad red is in the brush, we have to be careful when we're mixing other greens with this brush that we clean the brush really well so we don't get that cad red, because red is a complement of green, so it immediately grays down any of the green mixtures. So kind of always be aware of what's in the brush. What did you mix? And will that color affect the next colors mixed? And if it will, it's a good idea to clean the brush off, and sometimes even better yet, to switch brushes. So this gives me a good opportunity now to kind of step back, take a look at what I did with the trees, and start to address the shapes that are going to come next, which are the ground shapes.